Do you have a strategy to reopen your salon successfully? I've just done it, and I've got 10 tips for you today on how to really make sure that you're playing your game of chess really right and everything's positioned in a good place so that when you do reopen, it's a success, because there's a lot of things that can go against you getting this right, and there's a lot of things you can overlook. So number one, right at the beginning, even before you're close to reopening, if you've missed a step, then it's too late. But if you've still got a little bit of time before you're reopening, you need to have an engagement strategy with your customers and with your team throughout the period of closure. The problem here is we don't know how long this is going to be. So it can feel a bit like you're just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it's going to stick. But do that. We don't know what we're doing here, so we're trying to figure it out. So, do have a connection and engagement strategy with your customers. I've gone into this a lot with my students in the Customer Attraction Mastery, all about your social engagement marketing and what you need to do to have your brand center of people's attention, whether you're open or whether you're shut. But have a strategy, put some things in place, and make sure with your customers you're just engaging, keeping yourself top of mind and being present. And the same with your team. Think of the things you can do to make sure that you're engaging with them. It's really hard. If you're shut for 4 months, what do you do? But get a strategy, think about things you can do, be creative, take pointers from other industries, look at what you can do, and that will help get your mind off what you can't. Because my second tip is to really sort out what's going on up here. Dark days, crying in the pillow, wanting to just disappear, we've all had them. Long beach walks, whatever we do to get us in that place that we're feeling confident is super important. Get your mind right. You could go through days where you think you never want to open your salon again, and you think, end of it, not interested. But, get your mindset right. Think about what you want. Remind yourself why you opened your salon in the first place. It seems like such a mountain to climb, but there's a lot of things you can do about being an empowered salon owner at this time. Our leadership library has lots of resources for you around that. So if you want to jump in there, go ahead and just get your mind right. Do some work on your money mindset. Do some work at home on your profitability, looking at how you can reopen with strategies and with functioning correctly. So there's lots of resources in the leadership library there for you. Get your mindset right. And then you want to really look at who you're going to reconnect in your environment first. So, getting your senior team, your star players, I don't like calling them star players, but the key people, that's a better word, key people in your business. Maybe it's your accountant as well. Maybe it's your managers. Maybe it's your your head front desk person. Get those key players in your team to get together, however you got to do it, by Zoom or whether you can meet in person. You need to start to strategize, and you need to start to get their feelings on things, their experiences. It's sort of start peeling back the layers. So meet with your key people, do some strategizing, and really think about where you want to go, and then make some plans and steps so that you as the owner don't feel alone, and that you've got some people on your team helping you create this next phase of your business, because that's going to really help with your mindset and stop you feeling so alone. And then you want to start to meet. Next step is with a wider team, and start to integrate them, bring them into the fold, see how they're feeling, get them on board with what you're wanting to do. There's going to be a wide range from A to Z of different mindsets around this, about different feelings. You just want to start to awaken them, remind them of their personality that they are when they're in the salon, reawaken their desire and their creativity, and remind them why they went into hairdressing in the first place. So you want to give them space. We've done the Google form. If you haven't got that, you can jump into the reopening your salon resource pack that I've put together. Great little form in there so that you can look and get your team in their own time to fill this out and get some insight into where they're at, what they're doing, and what's important for them in reopening, and how you've got to be present for them, hold space for them. That's what being a good salon empowered salon leader is all about, is holding space for your team and allowing them to contribute and to be heard, and you create that lovely environment and that connection between the two of you. So bringing on the wider team is definitely the next step. And then you've got to think about, once you've got your form, you've got lots of information behind you, decisions that you can make. You can think, well, this person's more concerned here. Have your one-on-ones. Really important thing to do next is then meet with everyone individually and just, again, hold that space, be present, answer questions. You've got the insight from the form, so a really good thing to then make some time for that. If you've got to change contracts, if you've got to introduce different legislation into their way they're employed, this is a really good time to start to talk about that, because you don't want to leave it to the last minute. You don't want to sort of pounce thing on them. You've got to be prepared, very much get prepared and be present. You would have heard me talk about that a lot before. So then we start to think about, who else we bring in here? And it's obviously the customers. Hopefully you've put that engagement thing in place right at the beginning, and you've really, drawn them through the process, everything you're doing. Use your social media, be present, take them on the journey with you. That's always a big part of your social media and your emails and your communication and your connections. So, you want to be able to bring them in next. Start to tell them what it's going to look like when you're open. Start to tell them what you're doing. If you're on the phones, ringing people. Big thing that we did that was a great big bonus for us was to ring as many people, close-ish to opening as we could, just to start to sound them out, bring them into the fold, reawaken them, find out their needs, wants, desires. They've done things to their hair in lockdown that's mean you're going to have to spend more time on them. Maybe they don't want to colour their hair anymore. Just hold space for them. Very, very important to, get that process rolling, because then when you come to make the appointments, those calls hopefully can be a bit shorter. We notice a lot of those pre-appointment consultation calls stretched on because people hadn't talked to us for ages. But it was really good for the team to start getting their mind working. It was good for the customers to start thinking about, getting out of isolation and all those sorts of things. So a really good process to do is to call your customers, a week or two before your opening. Just start sounding them out. Gives your team something to do. If you can get them to be working, if you've got to do it, then you've got to do it as well. So, think about how you can really kind of unpeel the layers and get people starting to thinking about the positivity and the great things that are going to be coming. So great next step to make is to bring those customers into the fold. And then you want to be able to look at how the salon is going to look like, what's going to be happening. So the next level of communication with your customers and your team is strategy. What's going to happen when people walk in the door? What's going to happen before the appointments and they ring up on the phone? Are they going to have emails sent to them with all the information? Are they going to be filling out forms, waiver forms? We've got 2 more resources in the reopening resource pack. One of them is an email template that you can send out to people, just letting them know what your salon's going to look like. Obviously you're going to fill some bits in yourself, but great things, steps to remember in there. And also a waiver form if that's something that you need in your state, or whether you need in your province, or in your country, however you're reopening. It's another resource that's in there, so great for you to get in there and have a look at those. So you just need to think about this processes, the strategies, so everyone's prepared. Make sure that everyone knows if you're going to be wearing PPE that you're going to expect it. If you're not, and there's some variance around some businesses that are and aren't, that you put that in there. Communication, fill the gaps. Big thing you need to do is fill the gaps. Otherwise people will wonder, and they just wonder this and wonder that and not know. You want to be the person setting the direction, controlling the narrative, as they say. You want to be the person that is filling the gap, and then people will just follow along with you. They'll do what you need. They'll come in and understand the process. You would have got them to do this step and that step, and it makes that whole process of reopening seem quite natural and normal, and it's not from apocalypse, closed down, not knowing anyone or seeing anyone, to walking into a salon full of people, which may make some people feel anxious. So really think about that. Use your email, make sure that you're really communicating that really well. So hopefully there's lots of good tips in there for you, and that you really enjoy getting your salon reopened, because I know I have. It's filled me full of excitement. Any fears and doubts and worries I had disappeared pretty quickly. And yes, there's some things that will come up and we will deal with them as we're going, but putting all those things in place first, we were really, really prepared, and the team were excited, and the customers were really grateful. So it was a really good thing to do. So I hope you find those tips useful, and get over to the leadership library or in the resource pack, and you'll have all those things there for you to get you firing and being successful when you reopen your salon.